Well, that sentiment went through the confab. Quite a number of delegates opined that that was the conference to end all conferences. One of them said it was the last bus stop to anarchy and disintegration. I think we should say that the jury is still out on whether or not there will be no need in the future to convene yet another confabulation. But my experience is that jaw is better than war, like Winston Churchill said. So maybe it will be another chapter to the series of conferences we've had, the Abacha conference, the Obasanjo conference, and now you have the Jonathan conference. But as I said, we leave the analysis in terms of its success or failure in the womb of history. History will decide whether it was well worth it or whether it was yet another perambulation masquerading as a confabulation. So, but I think it was necessary to have brought delegates from the various parts of the country, different organizations, the young people, professionals, the literati, the intelligentsia, the aged, political parties. There's a broad spectrum of people and organizations captured in that particular conference. Well, I was not part of the other conferences. You know, the Abacha conference was specifically convened to transmute or transmogrify the dictatorship into an elected junta. Okay, you remember Bola talking about 5 fingers of a leprous hand. The Obasanjo confab too was conceived and convoked to create an atmosphere for a third term for Obasanjo, although Obasanjo later denied that he had any third term aspirations. And you know, it ended in disarray because of the walkout by people from the Niger Delta. This particular conference came up to as it were, unscramble the egg, because there are so many problems afflicting the Nigerian polity. Don't forget that Jonathan himself was dead against any conference. But I think the circumstances compelled him to perform a turnaround. He went 360 degrees and decided, first he said we should have a discussion, because he wasn't for what we have been demanding, a sovereign national conference. He said he was prepared to go for a dialogue, and then later he called it a conference. But whether you call it a dialogue or a conference, it was a forum to ventilate grievances afflicting the polity. And when he came on the 17th of March to address the conference, he said he had no agenda. But some of us were skeptical and in fact cynical that now you can't come to such a parley to admit that you have a hidden agenda. So people really were on the lookout for when the agenda was going to be unmasked. But he himself said he was doing the job of a honest broker. A human's duty to provide a forum for Nigerians to discuss the various problems afflicting the Nigerian state. So some of us gave him the benefit of the doubt to see how far we could go in terms of discussing the problems afflicting Nigeria. So his own conference, you could say, because of the broad spectrum and because he said there was not going to be any no-go area except for dissolution of the Nigerian state, which is another no-go area. But aside from that, the conference was giving sufficient leeway to discuss whatever was on the table, aside from dissolution of Nigeria. So my experience is that by and large, the conference fulfilled its mandate and even made proactive suggestions in terms of the fundamental law or constitution that will govern the Nigerian state. So many people thought the Confab exceeded its brief, and especially we have many delegates who are protesting that we did not have the mandate to write a constitution for Nigeria. But if you ask me, and I think I spoke to that effect at the conference, the constitution we're operating now, the 1999 constitution, which I call the Abdul Salam constitution, has outlived its usefulness. In fact, for me, the constitution has expired because it was a military diktat. Okay, it told a lie against itself, like the Patriot said. Nigerians never gathered anywhere to adopt a constitution under God for themselves. So for the first time, you could say that at least there was a deliberate and calculated attempt to evolve what lawyers call an autochthonous constitution, a constitution that can claim some connection, some roots with the people. Although, as I said, the delegates were not elected. They were selected. But Femi Falana once told me at the conference that no election could have thrown up the array of personalities, a galaxy of distinguished Nigerians from different backgrounds, connections, track record, and what have you, as we had in that particular confab. So you might say whether it's elected or selected, at least it gave a fair representation of the Nigerian nation, so to speak.
Wọ́n bá ṣẹ́ níwájú.